It's time to talk about Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what this is called.
That's what?
Fantastic Four.
It's terrible.
1, 2, 3, 4. Awful name. I hate it. It's from Marvel Knights.
I thought this was 1234. I thought it was going to be another like period piece.
Oh, like 1602.
Yeah.
Dark Ages.
No, it's just, you got to go with that 4 motif. Got the numbers.
But also 1 and 2 and 3.
3, 4.
Oh,
5, 6, 7, 8. This is written by Grant Morrison with art by Jay Lee. If you're a big fan of this channel or various other channels that are affiliated with us, like ComicPop Returns, then you are like, you did this already. We read the first issue of this 4-issue miniseries, but I guarantee you don't remember anything about it, so it's not a big deal.
I vaguely remember.
Do it on a GBU or something?
We did. It was on GBU. That's right.
So we read Fantastic Four 1.
That's right. And it is at least carried over. Like, the antagonist, which is to say Doctor Doom, counts the numbers,
Like
at
the count?
Oh, at the end of
Nah,
each
Is he a
At the end of every
vampire?
issue. Yeah, no, at the end of each issue he goes, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and then yeah, and then to mix it up in the last issue, he says like the 4th one is in the beginning. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4 is, and I'll never say it any other way, it's their only foray into Fantastic Four as a book. And it was written, I believe, around like 2001, 2002.
Wait, Grant Morrison never did a different Fantastic Four?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just this. And it's pretty cool, actually. I'm not too down on this, although in the GBU you'll find that I was like, this is miserable and dark and meh. And it's from the Marvel Knights brand, so it has to be. By its definition, it's like, well, you gotta go really dark and you gotta make it really gritty and miserable because otherwise no one's gonna buy it. Because it's the early 2000s and that's how Marvel Comics is gonna make our bones back.
So the premise of this is Reed Richards is trapped and Namor finally gets Sue?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's certainly
That's
part
Grant's version of this is super dark and fucked up.
It's part of the plot, is that Namor and Sue want to bang. And there are actually more sinister overtones within the DNA of this book because of Grant Morrison's weird, twisted interpretation of the Fantastic Four, which we may or may not get into. We're going to get into it. But this is, but in terms of good, Morrison, as I said, doesn't really talk about Fantastic Four much, or at the very least hasn't written a lot of Fantastic Four stories.
Does Morrison do his thing where they're like modern gods, modern myth? Or
Well,
is he
what's
like, no, this is
interesting-
the Fantastic Four. This is Marvel. This is not that.
These are fucking people. I think so, because Morrison is not nearly as precious with the Marvel Universe as they are with DC anything.
Right.
In particular, Superman.
It's so human, there's cheating.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, there's a little bit of adultery in this. But not as much as Grant Morrison wants there to be.
Not as much as implied by the cover.
Certainly. Oh, this cover suggests that like Namor's the main antagonist and it's all about cucking Reed Richards, and it's not. I mean, that happens, but that's not what the story is. The story opens as every Fantastic Four story basically opens, where Ben Grimm the Thing is wearing his patented trench coat and fedora, and he's walking around feeling really sorry for himself. And this is Grant Morrison's interpretation of the Fantastic Four. You get to see just basically Grant Morrison taking everything that they know about the Fantastic Four and being like, let me distill it down into 4 issues that isolate and showcase basically the hallmarks of those characters, the way I understand them to be, in the most like black and white, 2-dimensional terms. And so, Thing's a whiny crybaby who's just real sad that he's a monster.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm made of rocks. I'll never fuck anyone ever again, except for the beautiful blind woman that's the daughter of one of our villains, who I'm fucking right now in this story.
Yeah, but she's blind. It doesn't count.
It doesn't count because she doesn't know how hot she is.
It doesn't count because if she can't
Or
see
how
me, then
gross
she
I
doesn't
am.
love me for who I am.
She knows
she
you.
does.
She thinks you're more beautiful
No,
than
I-
any other person can.
I want her to love me for my physical appearance.
I'm really shallow. And it's like, she makes sculptures of you. She has immortalized you in statue form, because she's not just like the puppet master's daughter. She also like makes living puppets, because that's like part of her whole thing. But also,
Wouldn't the puppets fuck him instead then?
she could make puppets that fuck, but that's not in this. But you're not too far off, because I mean, Morrison wants to talk about fucking in this book.
All right.
I mean, more or less.
I was gonna say, like, if she makes statues of Ben Grimm,
Right.
isn't that in a weird way like preparing him for his own death? Because that's what he's going to become when he dies. He's going to be a statue.
He is flesh and blood. Like, he has a tongue and eyes.
Yeah,
you can't just put his husk on, like, Fifth Avenue and go, look at him. His eyes would be pecked out by birds. His tongue would be eaten by rats. It would be horrific.
He's made of organic material, right? He will decay. Maybe
He will
not
decay.
as quickly.
No, and in fact,
Yeah, he
Hickman,
bleeds.
Hickman wants to say that Thing will take thousands of years to die.
Oh, like a normal statue.
No, he will live for
just
thousands of
tough.
years and then eventually will die. But yeah, his rocks will decay. They've broken off before. He's bled before, as you pointed out. But like, he is de facto flesh and blood, even though his skin is rock.
Yeah, it's rock-like, I
It's
guess.
rock-like. Yeah, there's no rock like it in nature. If the rock falls off him, you can't just get any other rock and be like, oh, let me just get some spray adhesive and it's just as good.
Just stick that rock
no,
in
it'll
there.
fall off him, and it'll also be like a weird perversion.
Yeah, it won't be orange, too.
No, that's true. It won't be orange, or at least you'll never get
Unless
that
he goes to
shade right.
Arizona.
Yeah, that's true. Where apparently there are red rocks. Thanks, commenters. So the Thing has just finished up a battle, a big, ridiculous battle that took place throughout Yancey Street, where he's from, in the middle of New York.
I'm sorry, he battled in a trench coat and fedora?
I think it's that he put it on afterwards to like make his hasty retreat after dealing with the EMTs and police that come on the scene after the carnage has subsided.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna go now, so I gotta put on my regular people clothes.
No one will suspect this lumbering Hulk walking down the street in a trench coat. Going crunch, crunch,
I've missed all
crunch.
kinds of shit walking through that horrible city. But he's met by these cops, and they're just like, fuck you. Like, they immediately meet him with hostility. And that's part of the reason why I was like, oh, what a dour, miserable book. Thing is already at like a 2 in terms of his personality. And then everybody shows up, and they're like, how come you have to fucking, like, aren't you the Fantastic Four? Do you really fight bad guys? Don't you, like, go to the negative zone and shit? Like, how come you had to go take your big, clunky rock body and smash all our shit? I got 1,000 pages of paperwork. I got to clean up all this crap. I got to deal with these afraid neighbors. Like, you're a piece of shit.
Defeated this villain a little more carefully.
Exactly. And he's like, fuck, he immediately goes to a 10.
Could Reed have come down and taken care of all
the
this?
Invisible Woman, please?
Where's the more surgical one?
Yeah, and he's just
Why
like,
do we get
fuck
stuck
you.
with
He immediately gives it a 10. He's like, eat shit. I fucking I'm a rock monster. And they're like, enough with the rock monster thing. We've all heard it.
You've been a rock monster for decades.
Right.
We don't care.
I've never known you to not be a rock monster. How about that?
As far as I know, that's just what you are.
Yeah. And so he like leaves. He's like, next time that you guys are gonna get like fucking stooped by some horrible bad guy, don't call me. And he leaves, and they're like, what an asshole.
And we didn't call you.
Yeah, but then one of them is like, yeah, if you think he's an asshole, wait until you meet the Human Torch. And I'm like, jeez, man. So we don't immediately segue into the Human Torch. Instead, we go to the Baxter Building, where Sue is having a conversation over the phone with Alicia Masters, and she's talking about how Reed is ignoring her. And it's like every single cliche of the Fantastic Four is Morrison's toy to play with in this. Let me guess. Thing's an asshole complainer. Johnny Storm is a womanizing douchebag. Sue is a put-upon housewife, and Reed has autism. Right? I got it. Okay, nailed it. Like, that is the book.
Yeah.
But also, they use elements from the Fantastic
Actual
Four's past
stories,
and infuse it into it. And also, I think Morrison's not nearly as precious with their Marvel work as they are with their DC work. So I can imagine, they did a huge run on X-Men, which we have an omnibus for, which we may or may not ever get to. Morrison wrote the X-Men and severely retconned them, like made huge sweeping changes, and isn't precious about it at all. Occasionally they'll complain about the treatment of a character they invented called Zorn, and that's kind of it. So I think that Morrison, when they jumped onto Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4, was like,
I hate you for saying that every time.
was like, I'm probably never gonna talk about these characters again. Let me do the most like generic or broad Fantastic Four story I can. Like, I want to say everything I ever want to say about the Fantastic Four in this one.
Oh, so I never have to do another story.
Right, exactly. I never want to have to like finish it or answer any questions. So
It's a done in 4.
it's true. It is a 4-issue miniseries. But so Sue is talking to Alicia on the phone, and she is enjoying this kind of like weird, crazy looking aquarium, which is, populated by fish. Johnny walks by, and the TV that like Sue is either not paying attention to or Johnny is kind of watching talks vaguely about like global warming and the environment and the weather that's coming up, and how, is there anything we can do to blame this somehow on Atlantis?
What?
Just a little joke by one of the news commentators.
Oh.
And Sue was like, I'm sorry, Johnny, did they say something about Atlantis? And Johnny's like, no, they didn't mention your fish boyfriend, Sue. And I guess he turns up the heat on himself because when he walks by, he kills all the fish with his heat.
Yeah, that's effed up.
Yeah, which is a dick move. Until you find out that they're not really fish. They're puppet fish that were made by Alicia that have been given sentience. So he is still killing them.
Maybe he was trying to like kill and harden them.
Right.
But you can just make more.
Yeah, it's not like they all just sink because they get harder and then sink to the bottom of the aquarium. But they do die. Like,
can you eat a puppet fish?
No, you can't because they're made of clay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're clay fish, just as all the puppets made by Alicia / the puppet master are clay.
How are they sentient?
They're not really sentient so much as they have, like, they don't have feelings or
they
beliefs.
have a purpose.
They just, they have a direction. Exactly. They're more like a robot.
Yeah, clay robots. Again, I'm going to ask, how do you make a robot out of clay?
It's more magical than it is, like, mechanical.
Okay.
You know, it's like I have the ability to infuse them with some kind of purpose or directive.
You serve butter.
My God.
You're a fish. You swim around and eat. My God.
You don't even eat. You just swim
Yeah,
around.
that's right. You wouldn't even.
You swim around and you come towards me
People look
like
at you.
I will feed you, but you will never be nourished. So Reed is in the thought chamber. He is deep in thought. This is an idea that will eventually be paid off again, where Reed will go into like it's like self-isolation sphere. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Morrison takes that idea, or at least like interprets that idea as being in this like science fiction insanity room, and there's just like a sock on the doors that's like, I'm thinking, don't come in. And so Reed's been in there for about 36 hours, and Sue is just like, oh, how come Reed won't pay attention to me? And the idea is that like Reed kind of was in the middle of talking to her, and they were doing something, and then he was like, I gotta go, and immediately went into the deep in thought chamber.
Right. So it's like Cerebro. He just goes in there.
It is like Cerebro in as much as it's another room that you use with your mind, but
It's all
like
hooked up with wires and shit.
Yeah, but it's just to like let him think.
Yes.
It's not to find shit.
Well, what is happening? What are those wires doing? What's
the
all that
wires mean
electricity
nothing.
doing?
No, this is just like.
He's like, I just find this relaxing.
Well, it is.
Strap myself into this thing.
Yes.
Having lightning shooting around me. It has no functional purpose.
It's just I just like
ambiance.
it.
I kind of figured the
it
wires
is-
were so he could hang himself in weird elastic ways.
I mean, sometimes he does that, but he's not always in this position. This is just Jay Lee interpreting the kind of like science fiction bend of Fantastic Four and showcasing the kind of horror that it must be to be like a 12th level intellect. You know, like if you're so smart that you can outthink God, and you're also like married and have in-laws, and you're a superhero and wear an outfit with a 4 on it, like it's gonna be fucking weird.
Yes.
So you go into a room and there's shit going on, and you plug crap maybe directly into your brain, and that's fucking crazy and really creepy and might be actually more horrifying than you might imagine. So that's kind of what we're getting here. But later you'll see occasional check-ins with Reed, and he's just in different positions. So he can't possibly be in this one position the entire time. The wires are just there to show you like this kind of Frankensteinian, whoa, this is a scary thing I can't imagine, and I don't want to associate
Imagine
with
being
it.
married to that.
Right. Like that would fuck you up.
Yeah, that would
Wouldn't
make you
she?
want to date a fish man.
And it's Alicia brings it up later because Sue goes to Alicia's for like girl talk, and they end up talking about Namor because of course they do. Because what else are they going to talk about? The Thing's orange dork? Like, forget it.
Oh,
So-
that conversation's been had many times.
Exactly. Thing comes in and he meets the doorman, and the doorman's like, "Hey, nice to see you." And he goes, "Huh." He just makes a noise, and the Baxter Building's like, "Voice print identified." And Johnny's like clearly in a mood. You know, he's just in an antagonistic mood.
Right, well, he just killed some fish.
He kills some fish because his.
Like, they weren't even alive. Didn't do anything for me. I'm still mad.
I don't think it's that he needs to purge. It's that he's like, maybe it was. He was already in a pissy mood when he met his sister, but clearly when his sister was like, "Oh, did they mention Atlantis?" Like, you know, Jesus Christ, Sue, could you keep it in your pants?
Like our family isn't dysfunctional enough.
Exactly. Like, it's not bad enough that I set on fire all the time. And there's actually a great issue of a comic book that Chip Zdarsky enjoys that was written by Ann Nesenti, in which the Human Torch is met by some children who are like, "Set yourself on fire! Like, show us that you're the Human Torch!" He's like, "Okay, flame on!" And he's like half turning on fire, and his internal monologue is like, "Maybe this is the day where I burn alive."
What?
That, like, this is an internal struggle that Johnny Storm always worries about. Like, a man who sets on fire should have a crippling fear of the fact that, like, how does this work? Maybe this will be the day where it burns all the way through and I die.
Right.
Oh, I assumed it was going to be set on fire. This is the day I kill 3 children.
Yeah.
What?
I was showing off.
It's just
He was really thinking that, then he wouldn't do that. He'd be like, I can't.
Well, because
I
he
only do it when I really need
No,
to.
I think he's like, because I have to. This is who I am. I am the Human Torch. If I don't set myself on fire, then I might as well not even be alive.
You weren't that, like, before, though.
No, that's true, but, like, I didn't have purpose back then.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going on an outer space adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Johnny's clearly in a pissy mood. Thing shows up. Johnny and Sue are talking, and then Ben comes in and he goes, "Oh, we're all talking about fish, huh? Fish are at the top of the news. Nobody asked Ben Grimm what he wants." Shut the fuck up.
What the fuck?
But
You just walked in, Ben.
But I think the idea is that, like, okay, so obviously everyone is on edge. There's something going on with everybody.
Right.
So
Someone's messing with them.
you're supposed to think, like, there's something fucked up going on with literally everybody in the book.
Right.
Are
but-
there kids in this book?
No, there's no children in the book.
Okay.
I mean, like, there should be, but, like, there aren't right now.
Got it.
So Johnny gives Ben some patented Human Torch ribbing. It's a little more hurtful than it normally is, and it sets Ben off. And Sue is talking to Alicia. We cut in with Alicia, who has an omnidirectional, like, communication device. I guess that's how she, like, ends up using, I don't know, like, Alicia's using this omnidirectional communication device that was built by Reed Richards and given to her and her alone. And it's
like
not
a headset?
Yeah, it's like a headset. It's an omni-communicator. So it allows her to communicate with every appliance in the apartment. Like,
it's
everything
like
can be
wireless.
voice activated.
Okay.
And she can use it as a phone too.
Right.
And so,
I was like omni-communicator, so she can talk to people.
sure, she can talk to aliens or dogs. It's an omni-communicator. Omni means everything.
Or chairs.
Right.
Or walls.
I guess that's true, right? Like, hey, wall, change to taupe.
Wall's like, I'm just a wall. You can't change me.
It's a communicator. An
Yeah.
omni-communicator. I say it does.
That means you could change the face of New York.
Maybe, if she were that
Yeah,
powerful. I
like
mean,
New
it's
York becomes Chicago.
I think
and
it's
the police will
dialed down
rearrange
a little bit.
themselves.
It's only limited to the apartment. But she's talking to Sue, and Sue is talking about how he's been locked in that room, that thought chamber. He's been deep in thought for like 24 or 36 hours. And Alicia's
Deep in thought,
Yeah.
jerking off for 36 hours.
Yeah, he's
Exactly.
been deep in his own butt.
He's like the snake eating its own tail. So Alicia, who is in her own apartment, who is not connected necessarily to whatever the hell's going on in the Baxter building, is like, he'll be fine, you'll be fine. Like, yeah, Johnny and Ben got in an argument. They'll team up to fight some bad guy and they'll be fine. Reed will come
Your
out.
problems are worthless.
It's just like,
So why are you bothering me with this mundane bullshit?
I mean, she's not giving her a hard time. She's just being. It's more like
She's being a friend.
Yeah,
Alicia,
she's trying to encourage.
she should have said, "Do you want me to help you or do you want me to listen?" But in this
That's
case,
passive aggressive.
yeah, I know. But in this case, she's just helping, and she's just like, he loves you. Look at this omni communicator that Reed gave me. Like because she's like, I think it's weird. Like Sue comments on how it's like alien looking. It's crazy looking. And she's like, I think it's beautiful. Reed is very analytical, and he doesn't need to put effort into his machines. Like, they could just be a square box. You know what I mean? Like, every machine that Reed makes could just be like, it is a cube, like everything I make. You know?
So she's saying because it's not a cube, he's an artist or
Yeah,
something.
and it's her passion that makes him even bother to put finesse and artistry into what he creates.
Oh.
And that's true. Like, Sue is known for her passion. That's what they say one of her strengths is in this book.
Okay.
It's just a
It's
nice
like
little.
if you weren't around, everything he did would be boring.
It would be boring and purposeless.
Right.
Like, he might just lock himself into the thought chamber and never come out. Because he's like, I'll tackle every problem, and it's like, you'll never solve every problem, so you're just going to be locked in there forever. Like, he would just recede into himself. The fact that he has a family gives him the real purpose.
I see. So that the world can have a more interesting, friendly Reed, I have to stay with a monster.
He is not a monster. He's just a little less emotional than maybe Sue would prefer.
He's been in that room for 36 hours with no explanation.
That's true. But you'll see
Not
what the
okay.
explanation is later on. And it's not that he's like making her some beautiful like date or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's not gonna be enough.
It is enough, but
to
not
justify.
No, it
ignoring
justifies
her.
why he was in there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
Explains
justify
why he was
why
in
he.
there.
Yes, like
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's.
It doesn't give him the clarity of mind to have been like, I should have explained to you before I left
Right.
why I left in the first place.
Yeah, and then you would have understood, and it
Yes.
wouldn't have been a problem.
Exactly.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry though, because that would imply that I was wrong. And I'm Mr. Fantastic. I'm not wrong.
In the name.
Sue makes a like passive reference to the fact that Reed probably has Asperger's syndrome, and then goes over to Alicia's place. Meanwhile, Ben really wants to talk to Reed, so he goes over to the thought chamber, and he's like, son of a bitch. But he knows that he's in there, and he knows that Reed is recording everything that happens outside the chamber, for what he misses.
Right, you can catch up on all the plays and bar mitzvahs and everything. That
I
his
think it's
family
just
went-
whoever's there and wants to talk to him, and it's like, I'll catch up on my messages. But Ben gives Reed a hard time, and he yells at him, and apparently they had a previous altercation with Dr. Doom, and Reed took this Doom bot with him, and so that's hooked up outside of the chamber, and it's just adjacent to Ben, while Ben reads Reed the riot act. Say that 10 times fast. And so the Doom bot hums to life, and it's like, why are you wasting your breath on him, Ben? And Ben's like, geez, here we go. And it's like, he smashes the Doombot, rips off its head, and Doom is like, look, there goes Ben Grimm and his famous predictable temper tantrums. Lash out at the robot. Because Doom is like, I wire all my Doombots for communication. It's me, Dr. Doom, from Latveria, using my discarded Doombot as a phone.
Yeah.
Right, I'm spying.
I'm
on
just
you guys.
talking to you, man.
Exactly.
I don't know why you would bring this robot into your
Why would you
top secret
ever do
headquarters.
that?
It's like a Trojan horse. It's so ridiculous.
It
I wasn't
is.
even planning to use it that way, but you did that, so now I'm coming up with a scheme.
No, I'm sure
no.
that Reed had 7 firewalls in place
mean-
or something.
Yeah, but not the one that matters.
Clearly
'Cause you can
not.
talk to
Because he's talking to him.
someone.
Oh,
Yeah,
all I
all
can do is talk
heads.
through it.
Right. All I can do is play to Ben
Everyone's
Grimm's
insecurities.
insecurities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not hard to do.
No. Doom explains, there's some truth about Reed Richards that you don't know, that he's never told you, that you should know. And if you'd like to know, you have to put on one of my Doombot's gloves, and that will allow you to reach me in a way that that we can communicate better. And so Ben is an idiot and puts the glove on, and the glove has special, MCU Stark Tech nanotechnology that allows it to change size, and it goes onto his arm.
Okay.
And then he is immediately transported to Latveria, to Dr. Doom's physical presence in his throne room, or insane sorcerer's chamber, or whatever you want to call it.
Sweet.
And he's like,
It's
hey.
my solarium.
Exactly. But he's like, good morning, it's 5 a.m. Thanks for being here, Ben. All right, let's talk.
Breakfast?
Right. He doesn't know
We'll
how
have
to
a traditional Latvian breakfast. It's just beans.
Oh, great. Can I have some bread with that?
No.
Doom mentions that, all you do is bitch about your, appearance. Well, would it surprise you to know that I've already fixed my own appearance and I could fix yours as well? And Ben's like, geez. And it's like, Morrison must know that we've done this story 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But Ben still falls for it because he's a fucking moron.
Right.
And,
Well, also, Morrison's like, that's the only story I care about, though.
That's right.
So-
That's the only one I want to tell.
Yeah, the superficial ones.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the obvious one.
The obvious ones. But that way, you neglect to notice the details going on underneath the surface. It's like, oh God, I've seen this a million times. And you're like, whoa, that just zigged where it should have zagged.
And then you read back and you're like, it was planning to zag the whole time.
Exactly.
Or zig. I don't know.
Either way. Yeah, I feel like zig is the default and zag should be the variant, but whatever. So Doom mentions that he's going to take his mask off and show him, and Ben's like, I've seen your ugly face before. This is not the first time you've shown me your face.
Oh, it's not ugly anymore.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm telling you, man.
So he takes off his mask and he says, I will explain something to you that will end the dream of Reed Richards and your devotion to him.
The fact that you're essentially a puppy to him.
So he explains himself to Ben. He tells this story that we never see.
He's like, just look in my face.
basically that. And we're just like, oh, is that all it does? No, he actually does tell him a story. He tells him something between these 2 pages, and it brings Ben to his knees. He's like, no, not Reed. And he says, I can fix you. We can do it. Just walk in that chamber over there, and when you come out, you'll be a new man. And so Ben does. He does it without question. And as he's going into it, he goes, hey, if this is for real, what's in it for you? And it's like, that's something you should have asked before you went in the fucking chamber, you jackass. So he goes in. Yeah, exactly. Of course, it's Dr. Doom. But he seemingly comes apart. And then we see this really muted palette depicting where the Baxter building is in the middle of New York. And there's this dude walking around, and it's Ben Grimm. but human Ben Grimm. He goes to the Baxter building and he goes to the doorman, and that's why I think the doorman's real, because he goes to the doorman and he says, "I'm Ben Grimm," and the doorman goes, "No, you're not. I know Ben Grimm and you look nothing like him."
Ben Grimm looks like a gross rock monster. You're just
More or
some
less.
guy.
Exactly. But he goes, "No, I'm Ben Grimm, you scrawny idiot. I got to talk to Reed Richards." And he goes, "Professor Richards is busy right now. He can't see you right now." And so he tries to get into the building, and the building doesn't recognize him because he's only done the voice imprinting and the handprints as a rock monster.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we've had those stories where he would have updated it, but whatever.
Yeah.
For the purposes of the story, it's like, oh, that's kind of fun. It's like, oh, I don't see a gross rock hand on there, so no, access
Should've been
denied.
happy being a rock man. Now look.
Yeah.
Now you don't have anything.
Exactly. So he
I
wanders
don't know
away.
anyone's phone number.
But he's also really fucked up, and he has he's discombobulated. He doesn't know where he is or what's going on. He just knows he needs to talk to Reed Richards, and so he goes to a random.
What did I do?
Right.
What did I accidentally fuck up when I went and made a deal with Dr. Doom?
Right. And so as he wanders addled throughout the city, he gets hit by a car, and as he's hit by a car, Dr. Doom takes a small toy of the thing and smashes it. Ben is hit by a car and just left mangled in the street. Alicia goes to visit.
Oh, wish you were made of rocks now, huh?
Right, you would have smashed the shit out of that car, but now you're having internal bleeding and you're gonna die.
Yeah, now you're dying instead of the people in the car dying from hitting a giant rock thing.
Yeah, you probably killed at least 2 people. So Sue goes to Alicia's place, which is awesome and gorgeous, and I assume it's just.
I barely remember that.
Yeah.
None of that rang any bells
No.
until he shows up to the Baxter building as a person.
Right.
That was it.
So Sue goes to Alicia's and she brings lunch. They're gonna have lunch at Alicia's place, and Sue is invisible the entire time. And I really like the way it's portrayed. It's just kind of like
This is how I feel right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, also, it doesn't matter to Alicia.
Alicia, yeah, she doesn't see her anyway. Yeah, exactly. Eventually, they talk about Namor and how he's gorgeous and hot and interesting, and he has this very interesting smell that's like the ocean, but whatever. I know. It's what he says, low tide, awesome. But while they're gabbing about dudes, and Alicia's I get why you like Namor, but I also know why you love Reed. Alicia isn't in any way perturbed or put off by her being I want to fuck this fish man.
Yeah,
and it's
just let me just
listen to you. You get it out of your system.
Suggest that's a bad idea.
Exactly. But even then,
It's like talking about, hot actors or something.
Exactly.
Of course Namor's hot.
Yeah, except it'd be like if you knew Chris Hemsworth and he came over all the time and he actively wanted to fuck you.
Yeah,
a
but
little
if I
more
was
complicated.
battling Chris Hemsworth the entire time,
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit of a weirder story. It's not like we're chums.
That's true. So Johnny is on a date with some girl, some chick. They don't make a point to explain whether she's a supermodel or whether she's an actor or something. She's just someone and she's shallow. That's all we know. Except that I also don't blame her for being in any way uncomfortable around Johnny, because she keeps saying Johnny, do you have to be on fire all the time? I didn't come out with you to be cooked like a steak. And he goes, then you came to the wrong place, baby. I'm the Human Torch. Dig it or learn to live without it. And
I guess the second one.
I know, what the fuck?
Yeah,
But
drop me off at home, I guess.
when they end up back where they need to be, she says, Johnny, you're so hot and I like you, but these are 3rd-degree burns. And I'm like, what? What the fuck?
Maybe she meant that metaphorically.
I hope so.
You need to go to a hospital if you have
Seriously, I know. But Johnny is clearly he is upset and he is frustrated and he's stressed out, and being away with this chick has made him kind of cool off a little bit, no pun intended. But he says,
well, they also drove through the rain.
That's true, and the rain is a whole thing with him. But he goes, you know what? I feel really bad about Ben. I shouldn't have been so mean to him. Maybe we'll go look for Namor and beat the hell out of him like a couple of buddies. And he goes, take the wheel, honey. You just wanted the car anyway, didn't you? And she goes, yeah, you're so cool. And he goes, whatever. And she drives away with his car.
So he can't control being on fire?
He absolutely can. It's
in this book.
In this book, it's
he still can. He's just being a douche.
I think he's just being a douche. Or he's he's distracted. So he's being more careless about it. But
the mental anguish and shit that's going on inside is causing him to be on fire all the time.
Or it's just just the top of his hair was on fire, but yeah.
Reverts to fire?
I don't think so. I think it's more if you're not paying attention, maybe you have restless leg syndrome, where it's like, oh, you're on fire a little bit.
Sometimes,
like,
yeah,
oh shit,
sometimes it'll
my
just
ear's on
appear.
fire.
Yeah,
I
do
just
you know you grind your teeth at night?
Exactly.
I do?
Right? Like, did you know you set your hair on fire when you're bitching and moaning about your family?
Yeah, when he goes to sleep, he has to sleep alone in a fireproof chamber.
Probably.
Yes. Yeah, he's like Hades.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just can't stand it.
Yep. He probably has unstable molecule bed sheets and stuff. They send Ben to the emergency room. He goes to like a hospital for,
Being hit by a car.
for being hit by a car. And
I mean, thankfully they can fix him because he's a human being.
when Ben comes to, he realizes that his arm has been severed because they had to cut it off from all of the damage that he sustained from the car accident. And he is just like so beside himself. And
Okay, lost a limb. Now things are serious.
yep, that's right. You always got to cut off an arm, show the gravity of the situation. So I should point out that the conversation with Alicia isn't necessarily all about how hunky and sexy Namor is. Like, that comes up, but it's more superficial in that conversation. It's more like that comes up because she's so occupied with the idea that Reed is so distant. Just like, God, it's just, I wish he would talk to me. I wish he'd explain himself to me.
Forcing me to like think about.
Yeah, kind of. But even then, she's not like, I would take him around the friggin' world, Alicia. Like, it's not even that bad. It's just that she's just like, I get like why any part of my basic nature wants him. That's it.
Yeah, because Namor pays attention to me.
Right.
Namor gives me the time.
I imagine that he would if I was in a relationship with him.
Totally.
In reality, he
wouldn't.
definitely would not.
Yeah, he'd be fucking fish people all the time.
Yeah.
And then leaving me, I'd be in the exact same situation, only I'm also an adulterer.
And I have to live underwater. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. So while they're talking, Dr. Doom is pretty much convinced that that's enough to have already defeated Sue Storm because of her like emotions, and so he smashes her toy, and he's like, and 2. The family starts to fall.
I'm sorry, 2 already? What?
Yeah, well, I got Ben with the car and the arm thing.
And now I have
Sue.
In what
She's just
way?
from a
so
regular conversation.
she's just so wrapped up in the whole Namor, like, I wish Reed would talk to me kind of
That was
situation.
easy. What toy did he smash?
The Invisible Woman toy.
Oh.
There was no toy.
Oh.
Yeah.
But he didn't smash her. She's not damaged.
No, it's true.
She's still in the game, buddy.
I know, but everyone underestimates
No,
Sue
she's
Storm.
emotionally smashed.
Yeah, I could tell she's done.
Yeah.
She's not going to fight me.
But during the Alicia Sue conversation, they talk about like a leak from the rain that is like coming through, and Sue's like, I'll take care of that. And then she realizes that it's not raining. And so when she opens the door, Namor's there. There's a line in this scene where Namor goes, "The storm has come." Her name is Sue Storm.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, Grant. Like, it's all wet everywhere. And Namor's here. You've been talking about him the whole time, and a storm has come. Like, all right.
No, maybe she came to the door.
She sure did. But he's just standing there all like wet and sexy, and she goes, Namor, my God, I'm married. And I'm like, is that how you greet him every time? Like, I remember in the 90s when Thing was wearing this helmet.
Up in his underwear.
Right. He's wearing that all the time. That's no surprise to you.
Every battle.
Yeah.
And now we fight the accursed Namor. Namor, my God, I'm married.
He's like, don't flatter yourself, woman. This is how I dress. This is my ceremonial Atlantean garb.
I put these on because I'm coming to the surface.
Yeah, this is modesty.
Underwater, it's dicks out all the time.
I'm freeballing it.
Every Atlantean,
Didn't wear
just,
clothes.
you know,
in
it's great.
Atlantis.
You don't need to. It's restrictive. I'm not aerodynamic under there. So anyway.
Also, everyone's pruny.
Yeah. So Johnny no, they're more dense down there, so they get less pruny. It takes more time. So Johnny ditches the woman with the car, and he goes to the
woman he gave third-degree burns to.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can drive herself to the hospital.
And that's a red car from the Fantastic Four. I think it can fly too. Not
She's gonna hit the wrong button.
Yeah, Johnny thinks he hears thunder, but realizes that the thunder is coming from underground.
But there's lightning right there.
Yeah, well, there's lightning. That doesn't mean that the thunder he hears isn't booms from beneath the surface. And sure enough, a giant monster, like the one from the first issue of Fantastic Four, smashes through the ground. And Johnny's like, oh yeah, flame on. I'm gonna fight a fucking monster. I need to burn somebody today.
I need to burn something real.
Exactly. So he goes to face this monster, and the rain starts pouring down, and it's pouring heavy, and it's affecting his heat. And Doom's like, "Oh, and 3, ha ha!"
What?
Like, okay, Doom, whatever. And we'll get into it. What Doom's plan is.
Okay, but you lured him out into the rain. Like, I got him. Like, what?
It's not just the rain.
Johnny Storm before.
It absolutely has, and it absolutely shouldn't be that much of a problem.
No, but like the last time he fought this monster, it wasn't raining. There's no way he could sustain the fight while it's raining.
I don't know.
Not for this thing.
No, it's just reality itself is being fucked with. That's really the long and the short of it.
Okay.
Because Doom reveals through monologuing that like even the noblest men are driven by the same base impulses. Like all of them are driven by their base impulses. Like Johnny's a hothead.
Including Doom?
Nah, Doom's not affecting himself. Doom's just affecting the Fantastic Four.
No, but he should be affected by his own base.
Well, he is all the time. That's why he dresses like this. Like, Doom doesn't recognize.
Yeah, he's like, I'm leaning into it.
Right. Yeah, listen, if they were all themselves,
Right.
you know, we'd all be living happier. You know?
Yeah, if they could just accept their flaws and who they are.
No, he's not trying to help them.
Wait, he can't accept his flaws. He changed his face.
Exactly, but he didn't really. It was all bullshit. So Doom reveals, or half reveals, his master plan, which is...
To the reader.
To the reader.
He's just monologuing to no one.
He's talking to us.
Yeah.
Like
This is how he talks all the time in Latveria.
He is, well, and we've established that he's also recording himself all the time. You know, so he can listen to himself.
Yeah,
He's going to make a great podcast.
Like oh my God, yeah, I wish it were. Doom reveals the Prime Mover, or a Prime Mover. There actually is a machine that is built in previous lore, and that's how I know that Morrison did any research, called the Prime Mover.
And then there's the Prime Shaker. And when you get them together, things are going to happen.
Things are going to happen. No, the Prime Mover was just a robot that was built that, like, it was supposed to be like it anticipates moves like a chess machine, and it eventually looks for, like, the greatest challenge, and it goes into space, and it fights the Grandmaster. Like, fuck it.
Okay, is the prime mover a reference to the concept in philosophy of a prime mover?
I would assume. I'm not familiar with the term.
It's like there has to be like a first thing to cause, like if the world is deterministic, so every action is caused by some other action, then what is the first thing? The thing
Oh,
that kicks off
absolutely.
Every of later action.
That's exactly what this is. Yeah, 100%. That's the prime. That's,
Okay.
This might as well be called Fantastic Four: The Prime Mover, not Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4.
And that would have been a way better name.
I agree. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4 though.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away.
Right.
I'm sure Morrison didn't call it Fantastic Four
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Maybe I feel like Morrison definitely called it 1, 2, 3, 4, just because it's so fucking stupid.
They built it into the script.
Yeah. No, it's true. Doom is like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So. But so we see that Doom's got another Prime Mover. Oh shit! And but it's more effective because he's also using sorcery and dark science magic nonsense.
So he's built this thing before, or used it before?
He has built a thing called the Prime Mover before.
Okay.
And now he's
it's
built
a
a new.
callback.
It is a callback. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Reed is in his own little room, and Doom has his own little room too.
It's true. Yeah.
They're just battling each other from their own room.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
That's the big reveal, is that they're both battling each other. That's why he's in the room.
Doing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Namor is with Sue on the roof of Alicia's building, and Johnny faced the monster, but then it turns out he changed direction and went for Namor because he saw that Namor was with his sister, and then Namor, who
Get away
apparently...
from my sister, you creep!
That's right. But Namor, as it turns out, can also affect like water, because Morrison's like, I think Namor can be aquakinetic as well. And so he turns up the heat, so to speak, of the rain, and it like really fucks up Johnny's flame, and it causes him to fall. When I say turn up the heat, I mean in quotations.
Yeah, it's a deluge now.
Because...
Which affects him, apparently.
Evidently. And it causes Johnny to like be snuffed out, and then falls not only several stories that are the height of the building, but also through the crevasse
that
generated by that monster who's no longer there.
Yeah, it's a shame that someone with like powers that can create invisible objects or shields doesn't help him in any way.
Well, he falls, and she says, "Why can't I control my force fields?"
Oh.
And Namor explains because his bioelectric aura can short circuit hers.
Oh my God.
I'm like, no, it can't. But
no,
okay.
it's because you're hot and bothered, Sue.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's
oh, sure. Yeah, you're biokinetic, bioelectric aura.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
You're just overwhelmed by my presence.
Yeah, it's more like your
My bioelectric aura right
I was gonna say it's your friggin' labyrinth package.
So he thinks by like killing her brother, he's gonna get in her pants.
No.
Oh.
No, it's not that. Namor. Okay, so Namor's like a super arrogant piece of shit who like never works with anybody, but Morrison needs him to in the story, so he does. But Namor is like just shy of being a mustache twirling associate of the main villain, where he's like, yes, my master. No, in this case, it's like, I needed to defeat Johnny. I needed to do this, that, and the other thing so that I could fuck you. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm here to fuck you. And I made a deal with somebody over there, that is Dr. Doom, to disrupt shit, cause more rain, and fuck up Johnny, and then give him to another collaborator of Dr. Doom's. And this is Morrison's like, here's what I want to do. I want to use all the classic Fantastic Four villains, or at least the Earthbound ones. So it's Dr. Doom, it's Namor, and it's Mole Man.
What?
Yeah.
So Doom contacted Namor and Mole Man and basically made them promises if they facilitated his nefarious schemes.
Right.
So, for example, he needed Namor's help. So he's like, I will kill the Fantastic Four, but I won't kill Sue, and you can take her to Atlantis and go bang her if you use your Atlantean forces to move a submarine that has a giant robot in it to the eastern seaboard of the United States, specifically New York's harbor, and allow my robot to erupt at the right time, which is right now. So this giant robot comes out, and nobody noticed it because Namor like slipped it under the radar. And so there's a huge fucking robot that's going to smash the Baxter Building and kill Reed Richards, who he knew was in the thought chamber. And so it's all coming together.
I'll get him when he's in deep thought.
Exactly.
And Namor's payment for this
Is Sue.
Yeah.
And he's just
Except she's not gonna go along with it.
no.
So he's gonna rape her?
No, he's...
Like, what is his plan? Like, what does he think's gonna happen?
He knows
like,
she
okay,
can't
there I
resist
killed
him.
your brother. Great. So now we can bang.
But she can resist him.
He's like, I didn't kill your brother. I gave him to the Mole Man.
Oh, okay. He's fine then.
Yeah, I mean,
So wait,
well,
did
then I'm
Mole
not
Man
mad.
always wanted to fuck Johnny?
No, the Mole Man wants to fuck
He has a
Alicia
different one.
Masters, who is also taken and is part of this scheme. So Alicia is
Oh
now
my
in
God.
the subterranean lair, and that's also a little complicated because, as you all know, Johnny Storm used to bang Alicia Masters after he stole her from Ben during Secret Wars, and so, you know, there's a little bit of tension there between Alicia and Johnny,
Right.
which Morrison remembers and very subtly weaves into the narrative. And I mean that genuinely. I don't mean like they overtly yell at each other about how they used to fuck. Like it's like if you blink, you'll miss it. Like if you don't know that they had a history, you wouldn't know it. But the fact that you do know only adds to the melodrama of the scenes, which I do really appreciate. But yeah, no, the other thing is you have to understand that because of the Prime Mover, they're not acting quite themselves.
Oh, right.
And because Sue does genuinely find Namor
Attractive.
Right.
So it's not just so much as she's like, I don't get it. Like, what's your problem? Like, I get that you think I'm hot, but like, I'm married, I have a family, you killed my brother, fuck you. No, it's more like, my brother's fallen into a hole, he's the Human Torch, we fought a nihilist, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
no one's
mildly
watching.
Annoyed, but maybe not.
I am upset, but I'm more upset that you're pawing me all the time right now. You know, and he explains how
I'm not
much.
gonna stop you.
Yeah, but Namor's like, I don't have a deal. Like, I made a deal with Dr. Doom. He tells her, he's like, I just made a deal with Dr. Doom. I did whatever he wanted so that I could get you. So let's go.
It's all for you.
Right, but he's like, I don't really care. Like, it's not like he's keeping it close to the chest so that she won't find out. You know,
Right.
he's like, yeah, no, I made a deal with Doom. Like, your brother's property of the Mole Man now. Like, let's go.
Right.
She's like, what? We see that things are getting heated up based on just how intense Reed's fucking face is in this thinking room. Like,
I was also doing like Naruto hand moves.
That's true. So we see in the Mole Man's chamber,
Oh, he's gross.
he's more gross than he's ever been
Yeah.
because he's more naked.
Yeah.
I don't care for it, but it's Jay Lee's interpretation.
Oh, Johnny.
Everyone's
I
a
mean
little
Alicia. Or both?
both. Why not? It all feels good in the dark. So anyway,
You don't know what you're touching.
so he grabs Alicia and he's just like, yeah, we're gonna be together. And now that we're under here, no one can see our ugliness. And she's
Wait.
like,
Does he want her because she's blind?
yeah. He thinks that she'll be more cool with it. But also because he's kind of blind, like he's a mole man.
Right. We're the same, you and I.
It's weird because he's like, you're hideous and I'm hideous, and she's like, I know I'm not hideous.
Yeah,
But
many
he's like,
people have told
but
me
he's
I'm
like, no, you don't know. Like everyone's just been lying to you. Actually, you're gross and ugly, like me. So you should be
They're
with
lying to
me.
you because you don't know any better.
Yeah, you're just stupid and blind. And I find that really repugnant, but I also appreciate it because it's like, that's what the Mole Man would do and say.
Yeah.
But he's just like, you'll revel in your new life under the ground with these moloids and me.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Oh, yeah. Johnny is like kind of at half capacity. He can't quite flame on right now. He's not really sure why. But the
He can only smolder.
Exactly, that's what he's doing. Ben is in his hospital. He's just wallowing in his own misery. He's just talking to the guy next to him who has terminal cancer, who's just like, shut up about your arm and your fucking self-pity.
Hey,
I'm dying.
Yeah.
And he's
Someone has it worse than you asshole.
Yes, and Ben, all he can do is just complain and just he's like, hey Saul, can you tell me more about like what's going on? Are you listening? Like, it's just like, shut up, man.
Oh my God.
Okay, you're friends with Reed Richards. Your arm is gone. He can make you a better one.
He doesn't know that. He's not. He's not the Ben Grimm who transformed. In point of fact, he's a younger Ben Grimm.
Oh.
What?
He knows
He was
Reed.
sent back in time to before he was
The Thing.
the Thing.
Like, I can't fix you as a rock band, but I can. But Dr. Doom owns a time machine.
I'm sorry, is Kang involved?
No. So Ben is like just begging Saul, his like hospital neighbor, to talk to him and listen to him. Meanwhile, he died. There's a curtain between them, and there's a doctor and a nurse, and they're fucking.
Oh my God.
Like over this dead dude's corpse.
What is happening?
And the doctor is saying a bunch of mean shit to make Ben feel more like an asshole. She's like, oh, you're bad. Like, why are you doing that? He's like, it just gets me off. I love saying horrible things and making like miserable people even more miserable.
You have to understand.
It's the only way I can
save
come.
lives for a living. I can't be nice all the time.
Right, I
gotta get it out.
I gotta purge.
It's all bottled up.
Gotta balance. Everything has to balance.
But
Every amazing good deed I do,
I must do an equal. What is this? Is this Dr. Bob Reynolds, the Sentry? So Ben is like, he takes Saul's death, misinterpreted as stoic silence, as a call to action where he's like, no, you know what? I'm gonna go. Like, I wanted to talk to Reed Richards, and by gum, I'm gonna go do it.
Thanks, Saul. You're the best friend I ever had.
Exactly. So he leaves.
I'm gonna look you up when I get out of here.
Yeah. I'll come back and bring you some flowers. So Sue convinces Namor to go into the ground and just beat the shit out of the Mole Man. She's like, I'm not gonna bang you, and we're not gonna do this. What makes you think that I'm gonna let you facilitate my brother's impending blindness? Because that's the plan. Is that Mole Man's, we're gonna gouge out your eyes, then you'll be blind like us in this cave, and you'll be my toy down here. She's like, we're not gonna do that. And like Sue and Namor are there now, and we're like, no, we're not gonna do that.
No,
and the Mole Man goes, what? Is this betrayal, Namor? What the hell? Namor showed up, and all he had to do was stand there, and Mole Man just spills his guts with the whole scheme.
Oh, what the hell?
And Namor's like, no, you can't have him. The Human Torch is my foe, to be dispatched as I see fit. And I like that because it's also a callback to the first Marvel comics of all time, back when they were timely comics, because the first superheroes of Marvel Comics, when they were timely, were the Human Torch and Namor. Now, the Human Torch was a robot.
Different guy.
Different guy, but exactly the same character design.
Right.
And Johnny's emotionally a robot.
That's true sometimes. So it's a kind of a fun little, like, subtext callback. Yeah, that's neat.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Also,
I'm sorry. Reed is emotionally a robot.
everyone's a robot in this. But Morrison's also super creep because they believe that the Fantastic Four is a comic book about incest. And have said such to that effect. The idea that, like, Sue and Reed are the mom and dad, and Johnny and Ben are the children. But Johnny really wants to fuck Sue, and Sue really wants to fuck Johnny. But they can't because it's a mainstream comic book. So they invented Namor. And Namor and Johnny are constantly at odds with each other because Johnny knows that Namor can fuck Sue, and so they fight. So Namor is the proxy that's created for Sue. And I'm like, no.
No.
Grant, you're wrong.
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 Today was not the day for that one.
No.
Sorry, Lex.
Couldn't do it.
Yikes. But it's absolutely in the subtext and DNA of this. The idea that, like, you know, when Sue shows interest in Namor, Johnny's upset and pissy. Like, because, oh, you're gonna go fuck the guy that you can fuck because you can't fuck. And I'm like, no. Slow your roll, dude. You made a lot of cool shit. But you're wrong about the Fantastic
Doesn't make
Four.
any sense. She fucks Reed all the time.
Exactly.
So should he be madder about that than he is about Namor?
Because Morrison...
Namor, whatever the fuck.
It's Namor, but like, it doesn't matter. It's a made-up name. I always used to say Namor. I said Namor forever. I say Namor just to keep people from giving me a hard time about it online.
Okay.
In the original Lee Kirby comics, it's weird. Like, the Reed-Sue relationship is already weird. Like, Reed was her, like, mentor, elder, when they were not dating. And then they were dating, and then they get married. Like, there is a significant age gap between Sue and Reed already.
Like the college student and the college professor.
Yeah, kinda. And then you have Reed and Sue together, and, you know, Stan Lee is writing like Stan Lee. So he's not going to give you a nuanced, subtle relationship between the two of them, especially when Reed is the smartest man in the universe, and he's going to be really stoic and weird, and he wants to solve every problem, and she's a woman, so she's going to be an airhead who says a bunch of nonsense. I cite literally every Avengers comic that Lee wrote in which it features the Wasp.
Yeah.
Everyone has something to say, and the Wasp was like, ooh, he's dreamy. Damn it. Sue is not much better, so, like, in as much as you observe their relationship, it is kind of more platonic than it would be
they're
later.
Not even fucking.
They're barely fucking. Like, if they are, it's only like clear Reed's head.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, yikes. It's very utilitarian. Right. I must sire a son, Sue. Like, no.
Right.
It's not quite that bad.
Right. But it's not anything for Johnny to be jealous of.
Certainly.
If he was into Sue.
Exactly.
But Namor is because he's sexy.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree.
No.
But okay.
I don't either. Do you?
No. No.
I was going to say, well, we got to get a consensus on the couch. So Mole Man is like betrayed and he's upset and he explains further the plan. Like, Doom wanted to kill the Fantastic Four and then Namor would rule the oceans and I would rule beneath the surface and Doom would rule the earth.
Okay.
And Namor's like, that sucks. And it's like, yeah, but you agreed to it. It's like, yeah, so I would fuck the blonde. I don't care about it.
Now she won't.
Yeah, and
so
she
I
won't.
don't
She
care.
made it clear, and I'm not a rapist.
Yeah.
So we have to give them
It's
back.
over.
I'm
Plan's
sorry, the
over.
deal's off.
Yeah.
The deal's up.
Sorry, Doom. She wouldn't go
She
for
welched.
it. We're done.
Yeah,
It's
I got a
over.
welch on this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So then a giant robot.
And this isn't just me like leaving. No, we have to put the pieces back.
That's right. That's right. So
I am a diplomat.
That's right. That's right. This is an international incident. So a giant robot that is piloted by Doom, and so as such is talking like Doom, is going towards the Baxter Building.
Still monologuing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's talking to himself. Yeah, but Sue is explaining to Namor like there's something going on. Like, don't you notice that like you're acting more peculiar than like you used to? Like you're more aggressive. Everyone's more aggressive. And then we
Everyone's
find
like,
out,
yeah, do you like that?
Exactly. They called up a giant, horrible dirt whale from the Earth's core that's coming for them from beneath the surface.
There's a dirt whale?
What?
That's what Johnny calls it, so it's not quite scientifically accurate. It's just a horrible Lovecraftian maw with one eye.
Magma whale would be better.
Well, sure, yeah.
Molten lava. Come on.
Exactly. So it's coming to kill all of them, and Mole Man demands respect before Sue just like punches him in the face with her invisibility powers. And then Namor's just like, Mole King, you wish to make an alliance with my realm, learn to swim. And he smashes the ground with his great strength, thereby dispatching the subterranean creature and bringing forth the oceans. Like, he smashes through the Mole Man's lair so hard that the ocean itself comes up and fills and floods his entire lair.
And he grabs Sue and he's like, see how I can make everything wet?
Sue uses her force fields to protect them, and they leave. Meanwhile, Doom is just like yelling about Richards and how awesome he is. I was like, in one night I took everything from you. Like, what do you think? What have you been doing with your time while I was taking over the world and fucking up your family? Like, his monologue is fantastic, talking about each way he's dispatched the members of the Fantastic Four. And Alicia Masters. The boy's blinded, crippled, and enslaved. Okay. The monster, Ben, is shattered, lost, his lover, now the Mole Man's bride in his kingdom of filth. Okie dokie. Your wife is drowning in the deep fathoms of her adulterous frenzy.
Oh my God.
Like,
That's really well written.
it's so well written, and also he's so fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Like, none of those things have happened.
I mean, Ben Grimm did get shattered.
Ben's the only one who actually really doesn't walk away from this. But I mean, he does. But you know,
He still has his legs.
He's still upset.
Yeah.
That's true. But he says, well, you've been locked away. I've been busy destroying your life and the lives of your family. What have you been doing? And Reed goes, well, Victor, I've been thinking. And then we open the book with this monologue from supposedly Reed Richards that says, my name is Reed Richards. I've never really told anyone about the truth of my violent temper. And we see this like woman dead before him. And the idea is that like Reed discovers this like micro universe that if it were to survive, it would expand and destroy not just this universe, but every universe. And so he smashes it with his hands and he kills all of them. And so he does more experimentation and he ends up killing this woman, like co-ed, Stacy Valentine. And through killing her, he vaporizes her and he sets the whole university on fire and then uses the ensuing wreckage to travel. And he goes to Tibet and he meets these monks and he learns like dark magic and sorcery.
What?
And he discovers like there's this bad part of him. There's this evil part of him. And the Tibetan monks teach him about how to construct a tulpa. If you're a fan of Twin Peaks, you're very familiar with these ideas. But a tulpa is basically like a doppelganger. And when he made the doppelganger, he gave it a name, which he knew was a bad idea because once you give it a name, you give it power. And he named it Victor. And so the big reveal, the twist, so to speak, is that Reed Richards is a sociopathic psychopath, and he created Dr. Doom. The Dr. Doom is an offshoot of himself. It's his evil made manifest.
So they're both evil.
They're both pretty much, Victor's more evil.
Right, because he's pure evil.
He's pure evil. He is the bad part of Reed.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really cool reveal.
Yeah, but if you take the bad part out, shouldn't only the good part be left?
He didn't take it out, he just like duplicated.
He just duplicated. He just made a doppelganger.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
why?
I guess as a way of trying to deal with it, to combat it, to reconcile it, because he was so surprised by this violent outburst that he experienced.
Well, then he can blame something else, and it's not his fault.
That's also true. Yeah.
That's the reason.
And I think because this is Marvel Knights and because this was like the Wild West of continuity and stories for Marvel at this time, I think that Morrison's like, that's my retcon for Reed Richards.
Right. That's what happened.
That's what happened. And Marvel's like, fucking no.
What? No. Doom is a guy who pre-existed. He has a backstory and everything.
Yes. So Reed emerges from the thought chamber talking to Ben, more or less. Like, that's what he told you. That's how he got your favor.
Ben's like, no, he didn't say any of that. Oh my God, he just offered me a new body.
Right, but it turns out like that's not what he did. Like that's not what anyone did.
It's not true.
Doom built the Prime Mover again, and he used it to change all our lives. Like he's using us like chess pieces on a board, but he's also manipulating like reality itself because he took the Prime Mover technology and infused it with his own dark magics and whatnot to really like affect reality itself.
Oh, so this reality has been affected by the Prime Mover.
Yes. That like Reed felt the effects of the Prime Mover and Doom's manipulation thereof a couple of days earlier. Like feeling that reality was becoming the thing that Doom like picked out for him. And so he locked himself in the thought chamber. And
so
while
that it can't be affected.
Yes, but also so he could build his own Prime Mover.
So I have to go make a Prime Mover. She's like, that's a weird name for dropping
a deuce. Yeah, exactly. Well, how long should it take? About 36, 48 hours.
Oh my God, what did you eat?
So he built his own machine, and he has been, for the last 36 hours, maneuvering with Doom. So every time things start to go right, that's Reed, and every time the things start to get more fucked up, that's Doom. And so the two of them have been playing chess with his family's lives.
I see.
And then Doom's like, and 4, the game is mine, Richards! And Richards like, and I love Doom going, what? This is, you decide to show your hand now? Like the last chapter? Fuck you! No, it's too late! Your machine can't beat mine. Meanwhile, Ben is now at the foot of the Baxter building. He's like, hey, Richards, I gotta talk to you!
Ben.
And then Doom's robot, which is also an extension of Doom, looks down at Ben and he goes, self-loathing should have killed you by now.
What?
Like, I've arranged reality such that, you should hate all of your life so much that you should have, killed yourself or died.
What? Okay.
Yeah, if the car didn't kill you, your own pity was going to.
Yeah, that's why he loses the arm.
I was gonna say that's stupid, but with the prime mover, he would say like, no, like maybe normally, but I altered reality so that would make sense.
Yes.
Which is why he thought that the plan would work against Sue.
Yep.
Because like, well, but I changed things so that you would have an affair.
Yes.
But he didn't know that Reed was countering.
With his own machine.
Right, and making them respond more like they would have responded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My wife's gonna fuck a fish man! I have to make a prime mover!
Oh shit! Doom tries to smash him, and Sue creates a force bubble around him, and she's just like, oh my god, Ben, what have they done to you? So she collects him, and Ben's like, Susie? Like Susie Storm? Oh my god, like look at you, you look smarter.
Smarter?
Yeah. And she's like, Ben, you haven't called me Susie since like the old days. Oh, Ben, what have they done to you this time? So she collects him and she's like, Johnny, you can't go fight the robot. Like, you're too weak. Like, you've been weakened so much by your encounter with Namor. And he goes, yeah, what do you know? And he flames on and he fights the robot and the robot smashes him. And then, so Sue immediately knows what Reed's done without having to hear Reed's explanation. She knows that, like, Doom has built a machine to change our lives, which means that Reed would have built a better machine.
Okay.
And then
she's like, I know my husband.
Exactly. Yeah. She goes, Doom.
Oh, well, I forgive him.
Right. Well, there's nothing to forgive. He saved all our lives, and the reason he left is because if he had involved himself in our conversation, he would have been manipulated. Like, it would have been a conversation you can't walk back from, probably. Right. That's not really what it said, but that's my interpretation.
Yeah.
But she says, thank you, Namor, for proving that we're more than just slaves to our unconscious instincts. And then they smooch.
What?
In an incredibly passionate kiss that I was like, it's pretty saucy. All right.
Yeah.
Doom and Reed are like yelling at each other. Well, Doom's yelling at Reed, and Reed's just like using the machine in this like ridiculous monologue of like 0033003 anti-gambit.
Oh my
like,
God.
Okay. Doom's robot is destroyed by Johnny. Johnny like fires himself through the robot's head like a bullet and blasts out its eye, and then arrives, like he goes through the robot into Reed's chamber and finds Reed, and he's like, Reed, are you on drugs or something? And Reed is like, high on my own supply, Johnny.
God. Okay.
Proceeds to explain that like his elasticity allows him to like move his brain and create new lobes to allow for like more thought and more like ingenuity,
right?
And new brain structures to outplay Doom and outmaneuver him. Ben and Sue discover the glove that Ben had used.
Oh yeah.
And so they pick it up and he puts it on, and the two of them hold each other and then manipulate the glove so that it will transport them, and they end up in Latveria with Doom. Because the plan is like, this is Ben Grimm, we need to do something about Ben.
Yeah, we gotta fix Ben.
Yeah. And
not fix him so that he's not a rock monster anymore.
Oh no, that must be, the continuity must be restored.
Yeah.
And I think the idea, and I don't remember if it's like explained through commentary or in the actual narrative of this book, but it's like, it's not like I went back in time and I took Ben's younger self and brought him to the present.
No, I like de-aged him.
Like I wrapped time around Ben and like manipulated Ben. Like it's like they created like a second skin of time or clay around Ben and morphed it into using like the time period I'm trying to draw from, the Ben I need.
Yeah, you're wearing the skin of yourself from the past.
Yes.
You're still you though.
Exactly.
Even though he was calling
you
her
also have your
Susie.
memories
yeah, and also you came from like another time, so like you didn't really lose your arm.
Yeah.
She says he probably wound you like a thread back through that time bobbin to make you young.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking we can unwind you. So she just chucks him into the time machine.
Like just shoving you in there.
Yeah. Well,
oh God, he's younger now. Oh, that was a mistake.
Right. So the robot gets back up. It's like, I don't need my fucking face to fight you. It's a robot. My brain's in my ass. Let's go. And Reed's like, okay.
Like, me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have so much brain going on. Doom is so pissed. He's like, die! And Reed's like, you always go to brute force. Like after I've outthought you, you're just like, I'll hit you with my fucking lasers or something. Well, we have brute force as well. So check and mate, Victor. And sure enough, the Thing arrives and says, guess what time it is?
I'm going to guess it's clobbering time?
You would be correct.
Oh,
so
thank God.
He smashes.
I assumed it was D time.
So he clobbers, but he leaves the master stroke to Sue. because Doom is just like losing it. He's just like, no, I can still win. And Sue goes, oh, shut up, Victor. And she like smacks him around using one of his lances. He goes, who dares? And she goes, shut up and stop talking in that ridiculous way. And I'm like, hey, Grant, I like the way Doom talks, but I do like the idea of like a grown woman just putting him in his place.
Yeah, just telling him he's a fucking moron.
Exactly. She's like,
we all know that you sound like a weirdo.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? And like, man, like you built the prime mover to like manipulate reality and get me to fuck a fishman. Like you could have sent your country to the stars. You could have cured cancer. You could have done anything, but you always do this. Like, what's wrong with you? You're a sad, pathetic man-child playing with toys. And she finds like the discarded toy, like the statues,
literally,
the collectibles.
apparently. She
goes, toys. You should be ashamed of yourself. And then that's it. Like,
and he's defeated.
Oh well, so Ben's sent back to New York, and he clobbers the giant robot. And
he doesn't rip the arm off the Statue of Liberty and beat it with it?
No. He rips the arm off of the actual giant robot. That way, no one will miss it. Doom is just left in his castle, and he just says, no. And that's it. He's just like a whiny crybaby man boy, bitching and moaning in his beautiful, ornate castle in the country he rules with his infinite technology and his superior intellect.
So what did Sue do after she like hit him a few times?
That's it. Just left.
I guess she wrecked his machine.
She broke his machine and then just walked away. Like,
wouldn't
fuck
you just make another one?
Yeah, but I've already failed.
Right.
No, the Prime Directive doesn't work because Reed knew.
Reed will just, if I do that, then Reed will just do the same thing. He'll just counter me again.
So that's it. That's Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4. I think like if you get into it in the beginning, you're gonna be like, oh my god. It's really dark and miserable. Like, why is it so dark?
But there's a reason.
But there's an explanation for it. And it's like why we then get to end it on a bright note, although Ben is still like, oh, fuck everything. This is bullshit. Like, when he goes into the time machine, he says, will it hurt when I change into this thing everyone's talking about? She goes, and he goes, oh, what difference does it make? And I'm like, oh my God.
What?
Shut up, Ben.
Yikes.
So, but Ben does make the ultimate sacrifice, or at least the ultimate sacrifice in his purview, which is to become the rock monster again. But at least he gets his arm back. Yeah, hey. So that's that. It's a fun little deconstruct. I'd say it is a deconstruction of the Fantastic Four, and it's the best kind of deconstruction because it's not like a boring term paper. It's a comic book you can read, and the deconstruction is being done by their greatest nemesis, nemeses. It's the Mole Man, Namor, and Doom teaming up. Yeah. Although the covers are a complete lie. Like, one of the issues is Human Torch fighting Namor, which just doesn't happen.
I mean, he tries.
He goes at him and then just gets too wet.
It's a shame he doesn't yell no a fourth time.
I agree. Well, I think that at the end here, he says no 3 times. And then he throws his head and arms back in operatic anguish and rage. So my assumption is it's such a loud no. That it's implied.
We're far enough away we can't hear it, but
exactly.
He's screaming.
Yeah, he is screaming his fucking head off. But Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think that they really reprint this very much, which I understand.
When did this come out?
2002. It's a 20-year-old story.
Huh.
But still just as modern as ever. Like,
there's good elements
There's
in
some good shit in here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Grant Morrison.
I'll say this. For as much crap as we give Grant Morrison, this was cool.
Motherfucker's a good storyteller.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch knows story structure.
He tells interesting stories.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
This really kept me like on the edge of my seat.
It's true. Right, yeah. It's a fun read where you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen next?
I did actually want to know what was going to happen.
And the conversation between Alicia and Sue is like, it's actually one of the least melodramatic scenes in the book. Because it's like a really subdued, kind of thought-provoking discussion between 2 peers. And it doesn't go, like, I amplified it a little bit for dramatic effect, but like there's no talking about schlongs or or hookups or the baser instincts, although you could tell that like Sue is succumbing to this like amplification of her base instincts.
Right.
Which is pretty dope. And I think Jay Lee does a nice job with the art. It gives it a maturity that it demands. Like if this were drawn by a more like cartoony or less stylized art, it would probably not convey the same effect.
Yeah.
So there you have it. We'll see you guys next time with an all-new episode of Back Issues. I'm Sal.
Ethan.
I'm Ben.
Keep reading.
It's okay, you said some good stuff.
You did. I think we got fewer knee-jerk Ethan witticisms than we would have
probably.
if you had felt more cavalier with your voice.
Yeah.